The Flash, the 13th film of the now defunct DCEU, and the kind of ultimate big screen outing for Ezra Miller as Barry Allen. Now, this was a film that I was always going to be somewhat critical of, because the Flash TV series that ran on the CW for 9 seasons, from 2014 to 2023, that's one of my favourite TV shows. I think the Arrowverse as a whole is my third favourite TV show as a whole, so when the Flash film came around as part of the DCEU, I was always going to be somewhat critical of it. Now, overall with this film, it's got a bit of a bad rap in years because, well, one, with the DCEU now going in a completely different direction, and also that Ezra Miller has gone himself into some legal trouble, it's gotten a bit of a bad rap. But overall, what do I think of the film? Well, let's go forward and see. Also, I did, while watching this film, try to remind myself that I should probably accept the film as it is, rather than compare it too much to the characters who also showed up in the Arrowverse. Now, that's not to say it's not a fair fight, because with other films in the DCU and with other characters who popped up, it has been a fairly balanced scale. There are some that the DCU have done better, and some the Arrowverse has done better. With this film, though, I will admit, starting off, that a lot of the characters, I think, are done better in the Arrowverse. But I think that's maybe just down to the amount of time we got to spend with these characters. I mean, for example, Barry Allen, played here by Ezra Miller, and the one on TV, played by Grant Gustin, we got to spend 9 years with Grant Gustin as the Flash. He became iconic as the Flash, whereas Ezra Miller, we only really got a few moments in both Justice League and The Flash, so we didn't get that much time with him. But anyway, film starts off with Barry Allen, played by Ezra Miller, and he's kind of settling into his life as part of the Justice League, but also into his job working in the crime lab. And he's kind of accepted over time that he is pretty much just the janitor of the Justice League, helping them clean up with their various problems. He ends up teaming up once again with Batman, played once again by Ben Affleck, Bruce Wayne, and Diana Prince, aka Wonder Woman, played by Gal Gadot, to stop a member of the Falcone family from stealing various bit of kit. Now, this results in him being late to work and being rather put down by his boss, played by David Singh, played by Sanjeev Bhaskar, and being ridiculed somewhat by his work colleagues Patty Spivot, played by Sasha Monica Jackson, and Albert Desmond, played by Rudy Mancuso. Now, to start off with the character comparisons, you got David Singh, who's played in the DCU in this film by Sanjeev Bhaskar, and in the TV series by Patrick Sabongui. And this was a case that I think, I don't know, that one's fairly balanced. I mean, Patrick Sabongui in The Flash, he was given the right amount of focus. He didn't overtake things, but I think with him, it's pretty 50-50, although I would lean more to Sabongui more than Sanjeev Bhaskar. Nothing against Sanjeev Bhaskar, but yeah, we did get a little more time with Patrick Sabongui. Also, with Patty Spivot and Albert Desmond, I was actually surprised when I found out they were in this film. Like, when I heard that one of the characters was called Patty, I was like, huh, so Patty Spivot's in this movie. Yeah, fair enough. Played by Sasha Monica Jackson, and comparing her to The Flash's TV show, where we had Patty Spivot played by Chantal Van Santen, we got to spend pretty much half a season with Van Santen, whereas here, we're only given a few minutes, so yeah, sorry, Van Santen would get the point. Also, I really do feel bad for saying this. I mean, Rudy Mancuso, he does fine in this role. He does pretty much what the directors and script tell him to do, but if you're playing the same character as one previously played by Tom Felton, I'm sorry, you're going to lose against Tom Felton. However, after another failed attempt to free his dad, played now by Ron Livingston, Henry Allen, played here by Ron Livingston, Barry ends up getting approached by an old college classmate of his, Iris West, played by Kiersey Clemens. Now, this one is a weird case to me, because in terms of which one I think is a stronger performance, with Grant Gustin as Barry Allen, we had 9 years to get used to Candice Patton as Iris West. And Katie Clemens, as I said here, she does fine with what she was given, and she does appear briefly in Justice League. However, I do like the solution they ultimately come to between her and Barry Allen. Now, a bit of spoilers here, because I'm going to skip pretty much the end of the film with this, but I do like where Barry and Iris ultimately ended up come the end of the film. I mean, it's clear that they do have that Ezra Miller and Kiersey Clemens as Barry and Iris, they do have chemistry together. It's not that by the end of the film they're automatically in love and they end on a forced kiss. It's that by the end of the film they've grown a genuine friendship, and she kind of pushes him into asking her out on a date, which, if they had chosen to continue with this particular storyline, I could see these two ending up together, that they could have chemistry and ultimately things would work out between the two of them. So anyway, after helping Bruce and Diana out with the Justice League stuff, Barry ends up accidentally travelling back in time, and he ends up telling Bruce about this, and Bruce advises him against it, saying it could be dangerous. However, Barry comes up with a plan in order to save the life of his mother, Nora Allen, played by Maribel Verdú. Because in his previous timeline, well, in the timeline overall, his mother was making dinner but then discovered that they didn't have enough tomatoes, so she ended up sending Henry out to the store to get another can of tomatoes, to which thieves then broke into their home and brutally murdered Nora after believing the house was empty. Henry then went to prison for seemingly the murder of his wife. Barry believes that if he travels back in time and places a can of tomatoes inside Nora's shopping cart, then his father will never have to go to the store, he'll be exonerated, and possibly his mother might still be alive. This does work, and he does end up in a timeline where everything is seemingly fine. However, he quickly discovers problems because he's ended up creating a time travel duplicate of himself. Not quite time remnant, but close enough. And this world is now free of metahumans. It doesn't have metahumans, and it's being once again invaded, like in the original timeline, by General Zod, played by Michael Shannon. Trying to figure out what happens, Barry discovers that the Justice League no longer exists, so with the help of his previous self, after getting himself powers, they end up going to the one remaining character who does still exist of the Justice League, Bruce Wayne, who is now played by previous Batman actor Michael Keaton. Now, I know people are going to have problems with this or disagree with what I say here, but I honestly think Michael Keaton is the best part of this film. I mean, the man was 71 when this was ultimately being shot, and to me, he just slips back into it like a glove. Like, you can tell at the start, when he's just this kind of long-haired man just trying to work through things, work through these battle scars, but once he slips that suit back on, some people might think it looks awkward, but I freaking think it steps up once he's back in the suit. Because, to me, I'd say for a lot of people, if you ask them who's the best Batman go on screen, then I think probably the most common answer people would give is Kevin Conroy. However, if you ask them specifically who's the best live-action Batman, that may get you a more diverse kind of set of answers. There are going to be people who say that it's Christian Bale, some may say it's Robert Pattinson, but I think Michael Keaton is going to be a fan favourite, and here, I think he does great. They ultimately try to find out where Superman is in this universe, ending up going to a Siberian base to try and find him, only to discover that in this version of history, the Kryptonian who's been kept locked up is Superman's cousin, Kara Zor-El, played by Sasha Calle. So they have to kind of rescue her from the Siberian prison and get her back home. To which, like with other characters who have been in the Arrowverse, Sasha Calle up against Melissa Benoist. We had 5 years with Melissa Benoist, so I think she would get the point in this particular round. But once again, Sasha Calle doesn't do anything badly. In fact, when she actually becomes Supergirl, I do actually find her believable and find her a very endearing character. Ultimately, it's down to the two Barrys, Bruce and Kara, to fight off against General Zod, played once again by Michael Shannon, and his second-in-command, Fiora-Ul, played by Angie Trau, to try and save the world. However, when the Barrys discover that they can't find a timeline where both Bruce and Kara survive, Barry has to go face the facts and repair the timeline in order to let his mother die and set the world to rights. Ultimately, I think this film is... I think it's better than people give it credit for, because I know that this did turn out to be a box office bomb, and that in the years since Ezra Miller's problems did kind of bring this film down, but for what it is, I actually think it's a pretty good film. It does also contain two Doctor Who actors, or previous Doctor Who actors, which, having Doctor Who actors in a comic book property, I love to see. One of them being Sanjeev Bhaskar as David Singh, who previously played Colonel Ahmed in Dark Water in 2014, and the other being Henry's lawyer at the end of the film, is played by Carl Collins, aka Sean Temple Noble. With the other... well, no, actually, I don't need to go into that. But anyway, I know that this particular film was based heavily around the 2011 Flash comic Flashpoint, to which Flashpoint was actually one of the very first comics that I got. I think it was like the fourth comic I ever bought after Civil War, The Dark Knight Returns, and Suicide Squad kicked in the teeth. Ultimately, I think, as I said, I think this film is better than people give it credit for, and I know that they're not kind of continuing with this particular storyline anymore, and they're going to cast new actors with the upcoming DC universe, but for what we got here, I think it's a pretty good film. And of course it does end with a rather shocking revelation as Barry gets out of the courtroom, having managed to kind of free his dad, or in the process of freeing his dad, sets up a date with Iris, and all's going well, and then Bruce calls him up to say, yeah, I'd like to congratulate you. Bruce arrives, and he's not played by Ben Affleck anymore. He's not Michael Keaton Batman. He's George Clooney. And yeah, I honestly thought that was a pretty fun gag, a fun bit to end the film on. Just like, what the frick have we done? So yeah, that's my quick thoughts on The Flash. And as I said, if I compare each of the characters who appeared in this and the Arrowverse to each other, I think in this case the Arrowverse does win a lot of it. But at the same time, I try to view the film for what it is, and you know what? The film I think is a pretty good time. Let me know what your thoughts are on The Flash down below. Anyway, until next time, see ya.